Hi, I'm Sally Rippon, and I'm going to read a little bit of Polly and Buster, the first book for you, which is called The Wayward Witch and the Feelings Monster. So Polly's had a very bad day at school. She finds reading very hard, and so she keeps on messing up her spells, and she's had a particularly bad day. And so whenever Polly's had a bad day, all she wants to do is see her best friend, Buster. And so she kicks off her shoes in the kitchen, dumps her school bag, runs out the back, climbs up the tree at the very end of her garden, and she calls out for Buster like this. Aroo! Aroo! This is their secret call. Today, when Buster swings up into the tree, Polly sees he is wearing his favourite red jumpsuit. It's a bit squeezy now that Buster has become so big and hairy, but it has lots of pockets. Buster fills his pockets with treasures for Polly to admire. Buster tips out his pockets onto the branch. Today he has stones and sticks and 3 glass marbles. Then he digs his fingers even deeper and pulls out 5 sticky jam cakes covered in pocket fluff. Ta-da! He says, grinning widely, his moss green fur glowing pink with pride. Afternoon tea! Polly smiles. Thanks, Buster, she says, as cheerily as she can manage. She loves Buster's jam cakes, even if they're covered in pocket fluff, but she doesn't feel hungry today. Polly sits and watches her dearest friend shove one jam cake after another into his big, wet mouth. Eventually, Buster notices that Polly isn't eating. "What's the matter?" he asks, spraying crumbs all over her. "Oops, sorry," he says. He tries to wipe the crumbs off her face with his big paws, but ends up smearing her cheeks with jam. "I mean," he says, swallowing a lump of jam cake, "what's the matter, Polly? You okay? You haven't touched your afternoon tea." Polly stares off into the distance. "I messed up in spells today," she says sadly. "Again." Buster stops chewing. "Oh," he says, looking concerned. "What happened?" He presses his finger down onto a blob of jam on his fur and sneaks it into his mouth. Polly sighs. "I exploded a toad." "Oh," Buster says again. He pauses, not quite sure what to say next. Were you supposed to explode the toad?" "No," Polly says, "of course not. I was supposed to get rid of its warts, but I accidentally exploded it instead." Buster watches Polly carefully. She can see that he's wondering whether it's okay to laugh. Polly tries to keep her mouth still, but a smile twitches at the corner of her lips. Buster lets out a hoot. You exploded a toad," he splutters. "That's hilarious." Polly frowns. "It's not funny, Buster," she says. "Mallory Holloway laughed at me, and then I got mad and threw wart potion at her face, and Boris and Walter got some on their legs too, and now my mother will have to pay for new school pants for them, and Miss Spinnaker made me stay behind and clean up the whole classroom. It was the worst day ever." "Oh," says Buster. His face falls. "That's bad. That's really bad." He immediately shrinks in size. When Buster feels happy, he gets bigger and brighter. When he is sad, he becomes small and grey. When Buster feels Polly's feelings, he becomes almost the same size as her. Polly thinks this is the sign of a true friend. Polly leans up against Buster. He feels warm and soft and comforting, like a favourite blanket. "I don't know what's wrong with me," she says in a little voice. "Winifred is so good at spells. I'm hopeless at everything." "No, you're not," Buster growls. He puts his arm around Polly and pulls her in tight. "You might not be good at spells and potions and all those other witchy things your show-offy big sister is good at, but you're much better at being a friend." "Thanks, Buster," Polly says. She allows a smile to creep across her face. "And you're much better at climbing trees," Buster says, grinning. "That's not a very useful thing to be good at," Polly giggles. "It is if you're a monster," Buster says. "Maybe you should come to my school and learn to be a monster." At Darkland School for Monsters, students get to climb as much as they like. Buster gets top marks for climbing. As well as climbing, they do growling and crashing and crunching. This always sounds like fun to Polly. "I'd love that," she says, "but I do want to become a proper witch. A real black witch like Miss Spinnaker. Imagine one that can do spells and make potions and flies a broomstick. I don't want to be an ordinary green witch like Mum, who prefers to drive a car and does her shopping at Witchmart. I mean, what's the point of studying witchcraft and spells at school if you never use it when you grow up?" Buster shrugs. "Not every witch can be a black witch," he says. "But you'll be special at something. I just know it. And even if you never find that thing you're good at, you will always be special to me." Polly feels her heart squeeze with love for Buster. She throws her arms around his big, thick waist. "You are the loveliest friend a witch could ever have." And that's a little bit from Polly and Buster.